Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Reza-Astrid.
Then I'm Sakeenah.
And we are Similarly Opposites. We started Similarly Opposites on Instagram back in 2015. And it's just a place where we stored our memories, our adventures, things that we were up to, places we went to, and just things that we enjoyed. And a couple of weeks ago, we decided to start this podcast. And here we are. This is week 4, I believe. Which is crazy. We've done this consistently for 4 weeks. It's a month. So well done. How do you feel about that? Like, let's start there. How do you feel the fact that we've been consistent and been up it for 4 weeks straight?
I'm surprised, but I'm also not surprised because I'm surprised because our schedules are so hectic. So to find an actual time and put it in there, incredible. But I'm also not surprised because we do stick to our commitments when we do commit to something. On that note, we might have to film a bit later from next term. So I work till 4. So what a jump from 1 till 4.
It is a jump. Plus,
but anyway,
luckily it'll be summer by then, so the sun will be out a bit later. So it's not that big of a change.
Yeah, we might also have to think about maybe bulk filming if it does come to that. Because if the sun is shining, I'm gonna be at the beach, girl. I don't know.
It's come home now that you're able to go and be free, and we're not in lockdown and all that jazz.
Yeah, so might go to the beach and swap out the stuff in my car because in the car there's a blanket and an umbrella and a beanie, but now there might be a swimming costume, a towel, a picnic basket, I don't know, snacks. Speaking of snacks, I know I'm going on a tangent. My friend gave me, or my ex-colleague, gave me fudge to say thank you, for doing stuff with. And oh my gosh, it was so delicious. And I got the recipe, and I might make
it herself.
Yeah, so I might make a TikTok of me doing it because she gave me the recipe. So
please do. Please do. How is it easy to make, or does it look complicated?
It looks easy, and I have all the ingredients. So I might actually film it tonight.
And you enjoy fudge, because didn't you buy fudge for another colleague or something like that? Was it you or was it someone else? I spoke about fudge with someone else a couple of days ago.
No.
Oh, it was Carly. She bought fudge for her boyfriend, I think it was. Something along those lines. That's how fudge is on my mind. I must say I'm not a big fudge person. I don't like the texture in my mouth.
What?
I don't like the texture in my mouth. I don't like, you know what I don't like? It's that bite. You know when you bite into fudge and it makes...
It's only if it's that hard fudge, which I love. Personally love that fudge. But she gave me it was a very bean, it was soft. Break off pieces of a big one.
No. Oh, it's more like that, like those caramel sweets.
No, it was in between the two. Kind of.
Okay. Because I usually eat the hard fudge and this bite.
I love that feeling. It's
No, I don't like that feeling at all. It doesn't feel nice for me personally. Other than that, how's your week been?
Honestly, it's every week is blending into another week. I'm trying to think. It's been good. I haven't done much. I've watched some stuff on TV. I've watched some series. My parents, I just dropped in on my parents watching stuff, which they've actually watched. They started a Korean, but it wasn't a drama. It was a Korean action series. And that looked interesting.
Is it a UK drama or no?
What? No, because a drama is a drama.
True. Well, what are they watching? What Korean action do you know the name?
I want to say The Savior or
Is it Stranger?
What?
Is it called Stranger?
No, it's The something. It's about this lady. She's the princess of the town or whatever. But then she has a really good heart, but undercover, secretly, no one knows that she's actually a double agent. She knows how to fight.
That's awesome.
And there's detectives, and there's only one detective that knows she can fight, but the other people think she's so sheltered. I don't know. I just confident after the series. So yeah, that's what I was doing. But have you been watching anything?
We started watching Stranger. which is also a Korean show, but it's more crime, politics. It's like, it talks about the prosecutors in Korea and the police, and how there's this one man, when he was younger, he had surgery, brain surgery, and he lost all his emotions. Like, they took that part of his brain out that deals with emotions, but it made him also very aware of everything. So the series starts off with someone has died, and they're trying to figure out like who killed this man. And he's a prosecutor, and he works with like a detective from the police, and they like figure out, but underneath all this stuff, there's like corruption in the police force and in the prosecution place, and there is like money laundering and all these other things that happen. And it's actually really interesting because, you know how when you watch whodunit shows, usually you as the person watching, you know the killer, and you're just on the journey waiting for the detective or whoever to figure out who the killer is, but you know who the killer is in a sense. Or that's usually how it mostly goes. You're always one step ahead of the people in the show, so you always know something that they might not know. So they'll show you like a piece of hair or something in the background. They'll be like, oh, I think that's who the killer is. So you always kind of know who it is. But in this series, up till episode 16, the final episode, or no, actually, up to episode 13, we didn't know who the killer was at all, because every episode we thought, okay, maybe it's that person. No, maybe that. Like, we were just as clueless as the detectives in the show, which I think was a really, really cool way to see it, because that means that we had to pay attention to everything that was happening more than usual, because we were literally...
But there was like Easter eggs, or whatever it's called, like little daggers.
There was, but there also wasn't. Like, the Easter eggs were so vague, to the point that we always thought it was one person, and then it would be like all of a sudden, no, it's this person. Then someone would say something, and you think it's this person. And in the end, there was like literally, like for a lot of the series, there would be like 6 people that we thought were the killers. And then the person who actually did the killing was none of those 6 people. So you're like, okay. So it was very, very interesting. And I actually got my brother to watch it with me. So he watched it as well, and he enjoyed it. But I want to talk to you, sorry, because you mentioned something earlier and made me think of something that I saw on Instagram earlier. You said that all your weeks feel like whirlwinds, like they're just like kind of just going into one another. I don't know, you know that Flex Mommy, I think it's Flex Mommy, that I always send you her like stories and stuff. So she has a company called Reflex the Game, where she has like a game pack that you can buy, and it has like either or type questions. And the one in a new pack that she was asking today was, would you rather relive the same day of the last, would you rather live the same day every day for a month, or completely like have a whole month be completely vanished? Like out of your mind, like you've completely forgot what happened last month, or live the same day over and over again.
But like, what's the same of the same day? Do you know what I mean? Because I will still change. If I were like, oh, that wasn't favorable, let me change it.
But do you even know that you're living the same day, or are you just waking up and then you relive that day?
And then it wouldn't be a problem, because then you think it's new, like every other day.
True, but then you've also forgotten everything that's happened to you before.
I mean, my days aren't that atrocious that I don't want them to happen again.
True.
You know, I'm not watching a murder every day, so that's not repeated.
True.
And also, I forget every month in any case. So.
It's only when we look back we really remember what's going on in each month. For me, other than watching a new Korean drama, I feel like every week I say that, or Korean show, but I also, I'm writing an exam this Friday on missiology for my postgrad, and one of the readings is on interfaith. And when I tell you,
you're gonna tell me.
Yes.
Tell me.
When I read this story, like this chapter or 2 chapters in this book, I was like, Oh my, I thought, you know, when you read something, you're like, why? Like, I know this, but whoa, like your brain just is like, whoa. That's how I felt. Like my brain was just poof, going off. But basically how they spoke about interfaith in this like reading was that they said they're going to give, there was 5 different characters in the story, and you're going to be a character, you're going to be every single character. So pretend like you're this character, and then they'll say like what happens in that life, and then you pretend you're someone else, for example. So they said pretend you're in a small town that has always predominantly been like white Christians, and all of a sudden a Muslim family like moves into your neighborhood. So obviously this Muslim family joins your school because they also have 2 kids, and they're like part of your neighborhood and so forth.
But it's like Torpy. It's like
it's a small town. So literally, and remember they've never had Muslim people in their school, in the neighborhood, brown people, nothing. So it's brand new. And then they said, okay, so pretend you're the like the youngest son in the family. So you're in high school, you're white, you've always been a Christian. Now all of a sudden you meet this Muslim boy, and you're starting to wonder, but why do I go to church on Sunday? You're starting to wonder, why don't we pray 5 times a day? Like you just start questioning everything that you always just took as law, like, because before you never questioned that, but now you're seeing something different and you start questioning that. And then it's like, and as you question and ask your mom about, and you tell your mom about this new Muslim family that moved in, your mom says, oh, like you should invite them over and like become their friends. But then your eldest brother come in the room and he's like, no, you can't be friends with them. They are terrorists and they're going to ruin your life, and they don't believe in Jesus or God, you know? And so it shows that. Then they said, now imagine you're the Muslim boy. Your family has just moved into this new town. You don't know anyone. No one else in your class is Muslim. And you start noticing that the kids don't fast during Ramadan, and they don't they don't have to leave class on Fridays to go to mosque. And then you start wondering, like, but then you start feeling, so this boy, his math teacher is like rude to him because he has to leave early on Fridays and misses the math lesson, and he starts feeling bad about that, right? And then he speaks to his dad about it, and his dad's like, but no, that's part of our religion, that's what we believe, and that's important. And his dad also is very much like, you should just like become friends and with as many people as you can and all of that stuff. Then they say, now imagine you're the Methodist minister. So you're just found out that there's a new Muslim family, and everyone is like all like confused, like they don't know what to do. And like some of the families have come to you and said like, yo, what's going on? There's going to be so much changes, and who's this family and all stuff. And you feel like this is something that you've always learned in your studies, and God says that you must love your neighbors. So why is this such a big deal? So you reach out as the female Methodist minister, you reach out to the imam and ask if you guys can go for coffee. And once you get to the...
Where is she finding this imam?
So the imam, he comes once a month, or he comes every Friday to their town to do the mosque, yeah, to do
but why would it be a mosque if the whole town?
Well, he comes, there's a mosque in the next town maybe, but whatever, but this imam is at that mosque, basically.
Okay.
I'm really... Yes. The imam knows about the family, and he knows that
the imam knows the Methodist.
No, so she doesn't. But she reaches out to him.
Okay.
Very confusing. She reaches out to him to go for coffee so that they can talk about just like building relations and, you know, learning from one another, and what she can maybe teach her congregants about, you know, being Muslim and what that means and so forth. And so, but as she gets to this coffee, she greets him with her hand, and he's talking, and she's just telling her how much she just wants to, you know, build relations and build a partnership and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then as she leaves, she goes in for a hug. and she doesn't. She says she realizes that the imam is a bit hesitant, but she's like, it's a hug, you know. And then the imam would like, now imagine you're the imam. So the imam, he goes into this coffee very reluctantly because he's very on edge because he is an immigrant from Pakistan, and he's not quite sure why this Methodist minister wants to meet him. And then when he does meet her, he realizes it's a female, and immediately he's like, I hope she doesn't go in for a hug. And he's like, please don't go in for a hug type thing. But he also says,
why do people do that in general? Like, whether you, whatever religion.
I know, that's the first time you met. I don't know why we do that. Why is hugs?
You do that.
I know, but
I'm like, no.
I don't know why we do that. But yeah, and so he's very reluctant to meet her, but he has the conversation with her. And but for him, he feels, from his side, he feels like she's trying to take over, or she's trying to tell him how, almost to put him in his place and stuff. And he doesn't realize she's coming from a good place, I guess. And also when she hugs him, he wants to tell her like, no, don't hug me, but he also feels awkward. He doesn't know how to have that conversation in order. But anyways, and so they just speak about how we used to live in our own little villages, our own little towns, where everyone looked the same, everyone acted the same, everyone like had the same religion. And then as the world went on, we started integrating, and like our neighborhood started being diversified, and now obviously our neighbors can be Jewish, could be all different religions, and how we need to live with one another and respect one another and be able to just, you know, work together. But then so that was the story, the main reading that we had to do. Then we had to watch this YouTube link of a man who wrote the book. So his name is Ibu Patel. He's Muslim, and he spoke in the video about how when he was, two things that like stood out to me. So the first thing is, when he was 8, he was invited to some boy's birthday party. And on the day of the birthday party, his mother like checked the invite and realized that they were going to have hot dogs for lunch. And his mom was like, she wasn't sure, and she wasn't sure if the hot dogs would be pork or beef, and she also wasn't comfortable to like call and ask. So instead she put in like a little Ziploc baggie 2 hot dogs, 2 beef hot dogs to take with him. And he's like, obviously as an 8-year-old, you're like, how am I going to bring this to a party? How am I going to hide and all this stuff? But eventually he says, because I'm a good Muslim boy, I listened to my mom and I took the hot dogs with me, obviously. Now, and then when everyone was about to eat, he went to like a corner in the kitchen and like took his hot dogs out. And as he was taking his hot dogs out, he heard like some ruffling behind him. And he looked behind him, and there was another boy there who also had a Ziploc baggie with hot dogs in. And he was like, who are you? And this boy says his name, and he's like, are you Muslim too? And the boy's like, no, I'm Jewish. And he said immediately with that connection, they became like best buds and best friends. And he said like a lot of his life has been through those type of connections, of finding similarities among the religions and among friendships that actually like continue building a relationship. And then another thing he said, when he was in high school, he was friends with a lot of different kids with different religions, like Mormons, Jewish, Muslim, Christians, atheists. Like they were a big group of friends. But then one year, there were like these thugs at his school, like, you know, like the really bad boys at his school, who were starting to like make fun of, he says thugs in the thing. That's why I'm using thugs. I'm not using that word. He says it in the YouTube video. And yeah, and that these like bad boys were like making really nasty jokes and remarks about his Jewish friend. And he said like as the months went by, he could just see how his friend, who used to be very lively, all of a sudden became very like closed off and would like hide away and would try to avoid as much attention from him as possible. and his Jewish friend would start to, like, as soon as the bell rang for school to start, he would enter the building, and as soon as the bell rang for them to leave, he would leave. Like, he wouldn't stay any longer. And so he says he never did anything, he never said anything about it, but he could visibly see the change in his friend's eye. And then a couple of years later, when they were, sorry that I'm talking so much, a couple of years later when they were in university, they went home at the same time, and one evening they, like, happened to be together, and they were chatting, and his Jewish friend said, Ibu, you know what hurt the most during that time? It wasn't the fact that those kids made fun of me or made rude remarks or anything like that, because I could handle that. I knew that they were bad boys. What hurt me the most was the fact that you never said anything, and you saw it happen and you never said anything. And I was like, whew, like, just thinking about his story and like that and everything. And it just reminded me, like, we need to speak up. I know we know this, but we need to speak up when we see things that are wrong. Because not saying anything is, in a lot of cases, sometimes worse than just,
Of course,
saying something. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I'm done talking now. That's everything that I saw this past week. But I just thought I want to send you that YouTube video because it's really, really good. And I watched his TED Talk as well, which was powerful.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, you don't have to tell me twice to tell someone to call someone out. Like, you know what I mean?
Obviously not, but I just think it's a good reminder.
No, but also, like,
that
if you're a bystander in the face of oppression and you can see this happening, then you've clearly chosen the side of the oppressor. Like, that saying is true.
Yeah.
So rather do something and be on a side, choose a side, stand up for something instead of just like watching it happen. But also do it within your capacity, because if you can't, there's so much going on and we're like getting thrown with so much like news all the time. Do what you can.
Of course,
you know?
you can do everything.
And also like, even if you don't do anything, like have a stance on it. You know, you can't be like, well, I guess both sides have it. No, choose a side. It's so annoying. So when people go, well, I don't like to be political or whatever, I'm just like, so do you agree with what this people are doing? They're like, no. Then I'm like, well, then you do have views, just, might not want to share it. So yeah, like even within religion, like everyone's so quick to be like, well, Christian people can be Anglican or Methodist, or they can be, like New Apostolic, like whatever. But they don't do that for other religions. They just go, well, you're all Muslim. And I'm like, well, there's also different types of Muslims and kinds of Muslims. And not only two types, it's like more. Like more. Okay. Yeah, it's like there's more types, and like people just like all like lump it together and be like, all Muslims do this and think this and are like this. But it's also ironic, because then even when they think there's only one grouping under Muslims or under Islam, whatever, they still don't know much about it. So it's like, so much learning, so much education. And like, I can fault myself, like, I don't know everything about the Hindu faith, the Jewish faith, other faiths. And I think that's the thing also, like, we also just think there's like four. There's like so many.
There's a lot.
So yeah, interesting. Like even now, which segues beautifully into our Tanzanian trip, but even like Mama and Baba, they were Christian, but they have different views to what you had, and you get, let's just call him the old wise guy.
Yes.
He also had a different take on Islam compared to us. So I don't know, interesting. So let's talk about Tanzania.
Yes, our country we visited was Tanzania, and this Tanzania trip was actually split into two. So we're gonna have two. It's this podcast, and the next one will be on Tanzania, but it'll be different.
No.
Yes.
The next part will be on Zanzibar.
Yeah, which is also Tanzania.
Yeah.
It technically is, isn't it? Gosh,
Yeah, but like
is it?
Zanzibar can act as independent or something. That's how we had to stamp our passports again.
That's true. So let's actually like Google that. Like, what is it? What is the actual stance? Like, is Zanzibar?
Because it's like mainland. They talk about mainland Tanzania, and then
It says Zanzibar. Wait, why is the internet slow? Zanzibar is a semi-autonomous region of Tanzania.
Okay. So it can act independently if it needs.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, take it as you want to, but this particular podcast, we're going to speak about our time in a village called Mangula in Tanzania. But before we get there, how did we actually get there? I think that's the most important part. And before Sakeenah says anything, because she has like a long story about this, so I'm going to let her talk about it. But what I can remember about this trip coming about is basically like me seeing on, I think it was Facebook.
Instagram.
On Instagram, I saw a video on Instagram saying that this man had been to every country in the world. And I was so amazed. Firstly, I didn't know that was possible. Firstly, I didn't know people did that because I didn't really think about it. But I remember going into a deep dive of this man and figuring out like how he did it, why he did it, and all these things. And then I found him on Instagram. I followed him on Instagram. I was like, Sakeenah, you have to follow this man on Instagram. And yeah, that's how it started. It's basically me finding him on Instagram. Started all of this. And then Sakeenah, take it away, Sakeenah. Take it away.
I don't even know what you wanted to say, because basically, so then Reza sends me this thing, and I was also like a bit shook because it was quite young. Like he looked young. He looked like our age-ish.
Young.
So I was like, how have you been everywhere? Like, so that costs money. Like, this doesn't make sense. And then anyway, so we were like, followed him for a while, and Insta stories just like was a thing. And then his Insta story was like, are you interested in this? Then I have the perfect place for you. Then I was like, I'm intrigued. It was like, are you interested in farming, beekeeping, education, children, learning about Tanzanian culture, food? Everyone's into food, first of all. Okay, but anyway. And then he spoke about it, and he was like, DM me to find out more. So me being Fubara, as I am, I messaged him, and I was like, so do I have the messages? So probably.
Still do.
So I was like, tell me more, like what the heck is going on? So he's like, well, I have a farm in Tanzania. It's in this village called Mangula, which is like 8 hours away from Dar es Salaam. And if you're keen to go, we can organize this to happen. And I was like, yes, cool, let's do this. Don't trust people on the internet. Like, everything that I was told was just like, and then I went forward. Yeah.
Yeah, remember, we didn't know this man from a bar of soap. Like, we literally watched a video of him traveling all over the world, found him on Instagram, was like, oh, he looks like and this was like in a span of a month. It wasn't that long. It was long.
It was long. It wasn't a month.
I feel like
time to go to Abu Dhabi.
True. No, I mean like talking to him and planning the trip. That took a month. Like between us finding him and us discussing a trip. You think it was longer than a month?
But like between us, so we found him and we followed him, and then I was like interested. But this is the thing with Reza now, we're always looking at places to go next and like opportunities to go next. So then we found that, we spoke to him, and then we were like looking for a time that works because I was still writing exams and all of that stuff. And then we found a time that works. And then Reza happened to be in Abu Dhabi, and he lives there. So I was like, Reza, don't you want to go meet him? Just like to check if he's a real person and like whatever. And then talk.
And then I happened to be in Abu Dhabi with my parents, and I explained to my dad what we wanted to do. But before that, because before I met him, we had already told our parents, like, hey, we want to go to Mangula. And the funniest thing happened. So we have a family group chat. So it's my parents, Sakeenah's parents, and of course the two of us. And so
and our siblings.
And our siblings, yeah. So Sakeenah says we want to go to Mangula. But she typed Mangula or misspelled Mangula the first time she wrote it. Yes, the first time you wrote Mangula on the WhatsApp group message, you misspelled. And I remember my mom, and this was just before we were gonna like book some. I think this was just before we were gonna book our plane ticket or whatever. And my mom and my dad was like frantically calling me and messaging me like, where's this place? We can't find it on the map. What are you guys talking about? This is a scam. It's not in Tanzania. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like,
but at the same time, if you type in Mangula as it's correctly spelled, you're still not going to find anything.
True, but I mean, they even went and looked at Dar es Salaam and like tried to travel 8 hours away to see if any other villages.
But it's still not on the map.
I think just the way he spelled it made it look like completely out there. And so they were like, what's going on? And I was just like, just calm down. And I remember messaging Sakeenah and be like, Sakeenah, can you just please correct it on the group? But anyway, so I'm in Abu Dhabi with my parents, and I asked my dad, like, hey, I really want to meet this man, because we want to go to Tanzania on his farm and all this stuff. And so my dad says, yeah, sure, I'll take you there. So he drops me off at this hotel, this luxurious hotel, and we wait in the lobby. But on that day, he was running late from work, and my dad also had to like leave because he had to go pick up my mom. So I ended up sitting in the lobby for like an hour and a half with no Wi-Fi, not knowing who this man really was, just waiting there. And I promise you, 2 or 3 people working at the hotel, they like kept coming up to me like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? I was like, no, I'm just waiting for someone. But eventually he came, and we had like, I think it was like a 2-hour long chat about Tanzania, about the farm, about his travels, everything. And as soon as I left, I was like, we should go. I was like, this is confirmed. We're definitely going. And yeah, we went.
Yeah, so on this trip, so last trip we took Reza's brother, and this trip we took mine, also last minute addition to the situation, as they are. So we, like they always say like, oh, me too, it actually sounds cool. And I'm like, cool. And then so yeah, we went to Dar es Salaam. I can't remember. So then this Abu Dhabi man that's been everywhere put us in contact with the actual people that we were gonna like be with and live with. And so via broken communication, somehow we managed, and this man came to fetch us at the airport. So then we flew to Dar es Salaam, we got to the airport, and then we saw him. Well, he saw us. He didn't have a placard, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
So he saw us. There was literally no one at the airport, so it's like super chill. And then we went to the trans.
In the morning. What? We landed at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah, we landed like 4 in the morning, and then we spent some time at the like Forex place to get like shillings. Yeah, so to get money. And then his brother that can speak English, thank goodness, uncle. And so he was like, hi guys, no, I'm whoever, and you know, if you come with us, I'm gonna drop you at the bus stop so you can like travel and go on your day's journey. And bless, like now that I think about it, actually, Baba came to the airport in a suit, my friends. In a suit, a shirt, very respectable old man. Amazing. Yes. And then we got into the bus. To be honest, I can tell you nothing about the bus because Uncle Frank was like, this is very dangerous. It's 5 in the morning. People are going in the morning commute. They're kind of a dolvis.
We cried.
He's like, this is the most dangerous place in Dar es Salaam, so keep yourself close and your family closer. And it's going to be quite rough. And, you know, he was like, just like don't talk to anyone, don't say anything kind of thing. And I'm like, thank you, like, cool. But like, also, I think they've had a lot of visitors in the past, but I think they've all been like not South African, because like we kind of aware of where our stuff are, like safety as best as we can be. And then Baba just, obviously we don't, I say obviously, it's not obvious, but we don't look like Tanzanian people that was in that area. I'm not going to say we don't look like Tanzanian people, because when we came back, we went to this other place that everyone looked like us. So can't really say. So then we went to the bus stop, and Baba was like, blah, 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 blah. We need some tickets. You know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. I don't know, I can't remember. And as usual, you will see a recurring theme if we even get into this conversation. But as usual, my brother and Reza decides to gang up on me and give me the short end of the stick. So they're like, Sakeenah, we don't really know this man. We're not really comfortable sitting next to him on the bus. Like, we know nothing about Baba. So, like, and I'm like, kind of like, whatever. Like, so me and Baba are sitting like this next to each other for 8 hours. We didn't know each other. We just like, and we didn't know what was going on. Yeah, we had to like, they like drove away from people. The bus was just like full. Stop on the side of the road, fetch more people, drop them off. Like I was.
The bus was an experience. The bus was an experience. And an 8-hour experience. And a
8 hour. It's humid. So me and Baba are sweating on each other basically. Like, you think I'm shiny now? It's a whole different.
Your brother and I were like, we need to sleep, or we're gonna. Well, I was like, Ibrahim, I need to sleep this whole 8 hours, or I'm gonna need a bathroom every 5 minutes. And there is no bathroom on this bus or anywhere near us. So I was like, as soon as the bus was going, I knocked out. And at some point, we stopped at a rest station, and I was so close to getting off the bus to people. I was like, I don't know where the toilet is. I don't know how long we're staying here. Luckily, I didn't get off, because we didn't stay that long on that station, remember? And as soon as
people, they're like,
yes, and I don't understand how it's very confusing. We haven't quite figured it all out yet. And we bought some popcorn and some drinks there, because we asked Baba.
The way you buy these things is literally through the window. Yes. Like someone throws something up, you catch it and you throw the money down. Because it's like a tall bus, because our luggage and stuff's at the bottom of the bus.
It's definitely, or the people get on the bus and they start selling things as the bus is going to the next stop, and at the next stop they'll get off and other people will join, or whatever the case may be. So, and
then they'll get on a different bus to go back. I don't understand.
But it's an experience, and we had some good snacks and some drinks, and then again I fell asleep until we got to Mangula. But yeah, the bus, even going back, was an experience in itself, because when we went back, we booked and ordered our tickets like a couple of days beforehand, because we live it was a small village, small town. Usually the buses just drive past. We had to book and let them know that, we want to go back to Dar es Salaam. On the day, it was torrential rain. It was like a storm. You know, when you're walking in rain and you're just soaked nut, like your underclothes, your undergarments, your panty is wet. That's how wet it was. Our socks were wet.
And we were walking through mud because there's no roads. Like,
so
it was wet.
We were walking with suitcase. Well, I had like a huge suitcase and a small suitcase. And we had to, I don't even know, even if I told you the distance, it would seem very short. But remember, we're in a village where there isn't like roads or anything, and you're walking up next to people's homes and gardens and up, down, all around, trying to figure it out. And because it's raining, because all of us have suitcases, you're kind of man for yourself. So you had to like carry your own stuff. And that's when I realized never again, I'm not carrying that much baggage ever again with me.
And the kind of sand that it is like a red clay sand that's very slippery, very muddy, sticks to everything. Woo! That's a whole other story. But anyway, so we're still getting there. Let's get there. So we get there and we realize we have to now walk down this like pathway to get to the house. We got to the house and we greeted. We're like, ha mama, ha baba. And we got introduced to the children, like the Mapachas, which means twins. Nyanjika, and I think Enoch was there. Sam wasn't there.
Enoch was there.
So yeah, so then the elder brother was there, and luckily he was like similar ages and stuff, like he could speak English, which was great. So his English was the best one at that time, and then Mama could understand more than Baba. So imagine how quiet that journey was there. So Mama could speak, and like we spoke and whatever. It was chill, and then they're like, "Are you sleeping here?" So we said, "No, we're not sleeping here." This man that brought us here told us there's a place down the road. I can show us where we can go sleep. And then we got to this place, which is also, it sounds short, like if in my brain it's short, but it was so long. So it's like down the road. There's like 2 roads in the city, like in the main. So it's like down the like main road, over the train tracks, and like behind, like that's where we lived. And there was like a basic room and a toilet, and it was like 50 rand a night.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was super cheap. I was like, I could get my own room. But I was like, Ibrahim, like my brother and I, we can share a room, like, whatever.
It's fine, it worked out great.
It's fine, it worked out great, like whatever. We were also only in the rooms when we slept, because the other time we were spent at the house. So we got there, we slept there. Oh my word, like what can I tell you? The Maasai people, like something I want to say. Because I don't know why. I don't know why this never occurred to me. I don't know why this thought never occurred to me. But when people say the Maasai people, this is in my head. The typical tourist thing. When they come, they probably come to like a game lodge. So there's like mountains and trees around them. And then they're all in like their red, like their red outfits with like the beads, and like some of them wear the bands. And they do that, like they're like super good jumpers, so they do that. And I was like, that's how they live. They probably that's not what they do. That's what they do. Never have I considered. I mean, I don't know how often you think about the Maasai people. I mean, it's not a thought that occurs in my brain. But never in my life did I think I'd see a Maasai person with like their music blasting on their, like, I don't want to say boombox, but like, I feel like people in the 80s walked around with like their radios and their earphones and like racing each other down the street with their bicycles. Immaculate. I was like, oh my god. And they're like super friendly. And they're like, hi. So like even on the way out, when we were going, like leaving Mangula, we walked past someone and they looked at us like, hi, shame, kijk vir die kinders, But like, I don't know why in my brain it never occurred to me. But anyway, that's just like a super side note, because that's all we saw when we walked up and down the like road to get there. And at this road, you get like, they sell everything. Think of something and they sell it there. Incredible. So how it happened is, so we slept at the, I'm talking so much, sorry. So we slept at the guest house. We ate all our meals at Mama and Baba. And we also spent the whole day with them. So all of our activities and stuff we did with them. Do you want to talk about our first adventure where we have no footage because we didn't know we're going on to an adventure?
So our first adventure happened after we dropped our bags and got settled at the guest house. Our elder brother, Enoch, he was like, hey, do you guys want to walk around? Well, actually, his mama was like, Enoch, take these people around, like show them around our village. So we went.
But we think, okay, cool, I'm going to go to the shops. Like,
yes, we thought we were just going to go down main road, go to the side road. But Enoch was like, nah, I'm going to take these people on an adventure. And we didn't have our phones with us or anything, because I think we had left everything in the room. All was dead. Yeah. So we're walking with Enoch, and Enoch literally takes us around the village, and he shows us the schools, the train tracks, the like little places where there was a place where there was tons of butterflies, and then we walked, and then there was like these beautiful green trees, and then we walked some more, and there were people like riding their bicycles. Then we walked some more, and then there was like a little small shop where we bought ice cream, and then we walked some more, and we walked all the way to
the
waterfalls. Just at the beginning of the village, just before you get close to our village, there was a like national park with waterfalls that you go to, and that was like one of the things that we were like, yes, we definitely want to go to, we want to see. We get to the waterfalls and we're like, okay, let's find out how much the prices are. And obviously now that we're with Enoch and he's like our big brother, we're like, he obviously needs to go with us. We can't go by ourselves. We're now a family, you know, you don't leave your brother at home type thing. We get there and we find out that to enter the national park and the waterfalls, it costs $150. $150. That's times 15 at that time for us, to enter, because we are not part of like Tanzania.
They say, but they say, so it's either 50 cents in South African cents.
Yes.
Or it's $150 for foreigners. However, in that local thing, it says East African only, like that. I'm like, well, like my whole trip is just me going, but I'm also African. But I'm, because they like to call us Mzungu, which means like white person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I sound like, even like talk to people, I'm like, but I'm from South Africa. Like, I don't got the money, but I want to go up, you know? And they were like, sorry.
So we didn't go up on the waterfalls because we definitely did not have $150 to go up the waterfalls, but we were
on the first day.
we were able to see them from like vaguely through like the forest trees. We were able to see the waterfall, and it was beautiful. And I also was gonna take, like, the hike was hours, like 6 or 9 hours to hike up to the waterfall, because you would have seen other water. So it was worth it. Like, if I had $150 just chilling, completely worth it. But I did not. And we walked around. I think we spent like 3 hours walking around the village and like just enjoying ourselves. Only to find out later. And the whole time we're like, Enoch, you have to bring us here again. Enoch, we need to walk this again. Enoch, please, when I have my phone again. But also at the same time, we're not saying everything, because we're like, but we keep saying, Enoch, this is so beautiful. Enoch, you should bring us here again. We never went back. Enoch never took us back. Like, we never, because it was just out of our way, and we never had to go that way again. And also because we like, you guys are not going to go in the waterfalls. I'm not going to walk for 2 hours for nothing. But it was lots of fun, and that was one of the adventures we wanted to go on. Another adventure that we were planning to go on was to go beekeeping, which is a very big seller, and we thought the beekeeping was going to be like, and what the beekeeping actually was like was two different things, but we still enjoyed it. Like, we still made a day out of it. Like, we got some bicycles in the village, and then we rode on our bicycles for also like an hour there and then an hour back, which was lots of fun. Sakeenah bought honey.
So as Reza said, I bought honey. And so the thing is, okay, picture beekeeping in your brain. Now, it was not that. Okay. But basically it wasn't that.
Why did you think it was going to be like that?
I don't know. Okay, firstly, I thought if you are beekeeping, you have to keep it on the floor, because you're not a bee, you can't make a hive. You know, that's in my brain. But yeah, so I think I just had this picture in my mind. But then we like bicycled. We cycled to said beekeeping. I hate the bicycle. Don't understand.
I love a bicycle. I love it so much.
So I was struggling. Your girl can't ride a bicycle. Never taught how to ride a bicycle. Anyway, so we bicycled through like a rubber forest, through whatever. Me, I can only go downhill, you know, because gravity. Anyway, so we went, beekeeping, and what happened was the tray things were in the tree up there. We couldn't really get to it, and all you can hear around is zzz, and I'm like, no protection here.
We got a bee lesson.
Yeah, we got a bee lesson. I translated because I speak Swahili now. So they taught us about the bees, and you know, I translated. And we saw the bees, and I'm like, well, it's not ready to like harvest yet, so there is nothing, but we can go home because I have some honey there. And so we went home to his house, the beekeeper's house, Mr. Boda Boda. We went to his house, and he gave us honey. Now the honey is like in a Valpre 2-liter bottle. That's what we got. like 2 liters of honey in a bowl. I'm like, this would be cute to take home, like my minto, whatever. And when I got home, my parents were like, well, technically you're not allowed to eat honey from like a different place because the bees pollinate different flowers. So you A, either could have an allergic reaction, or B, it's not going to benefit you. So that was a bust. But anyway, it's not actually such a bust because we know honey is great for the skin of your body. I'm still, it's how many years later?
You were saying. Okay, sorry.
Okay. So I don't know where this cut, but anyway, so honey never goes off. It's like a million years later. And I found it in the cupboard the other day, and so I made a body scrub. Everyone's selling these like coffee scrubs on the internet. So I just make some honey, make some coconut oil, make some sugar, give it a little stir, and I love a shower, and it's amazing.
No, there you go. Never goes to waste. But anyways, as you guys can hear, we have lots and lots of stories. I think we could literally write a book on Tanzania alone, our trip to Mangula alone, because so many things happened and occurred. And also it was a first for us in many ways. Like there was a lot of firsts that happened in Tanzania, and exciting things and funny things. We have hilarious stories. Like go on our Instagrams, like our personal Instagrams, and watch our Instagram stories. It is a highlight, not only on our Instagram page, but a highlight in our lives. I love looking back at it because it's just so hilarious. And then also scroll down to 2018. Yeah, 2018, and look at the photos and the stories that we posted during that time. It's absolutely hilarious. But let's do our puts and peaks, because otherwise we'll be sitting here for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours talking about our story. So puts and peaks, Sakeenah, you can go first.
Peaks was the whole experience. Loved it. The family that we, became family with. That doesn't make sense. But the family who chose us and we chose them, and we still talk. They still send us voice notes from the twins and stuff like that, which is really cute. Love that. Love the memories. The pit would be a random man telling me to prove that I'm Muslim by going, well, if you're Muslim, here's a kitab, here's a kitab, like here's a book, like I don't know how to say it in English, but basically like here's a Quran, prove it, can you read? And I'll read for the whole room. And I'm like, I'm not getting, I don't know if you know this word, you probably don't, like, I'm not getting khatamat, like what is why am I proving this to anyone? I just think it's a very entitled. I got an A+, but it was very entitled. And yours?
I got an A+, but it was very entitled. The highlight of the trip has to definitely be Mama and Baba, Enoch, Samueli, the twins, Nyanjika, their house, the suppers, the dinners,
the food.
The lunches, the breakfasts. The food was a highlight. Like honestly, I would go back just to taste Mama's food again and just to sit at their table once again. They treated us like family. They treated us like they've known us for years. They treated us like God had sent us especially to be with them for those few days. And they loved us. They loved on us. They took care of us. They made sure that everything was fine. I mean, I got super, super sick. Like I was sick going into the trip. But on the 3rd or 4th day, I was just so sick. I was like, I can't do anything. I'm not leaving this room. I'm sleeping. And Mama went out of her way and still made sure that, I was fed and I had like
little tea made you.
And she was so concerned about me. And I just felt like when you were in the presence of Mama and Baba, but especially Mama, you just felt like her child, you just felt so loved. Like I would do anything for a Mama hug, anything, because she's just such a special woman. I truly think she's an angel, and she was definitely an angel for us during that time. I think my put would be definitely just the fact that I think for a lot of African countries, I haven't been to a lot or many, and I haven't been to all of them, definitely not. But I think there's just a whole understanding that the West or people outside of where we are know better and have money and can change everything, and what they say is law. And I'm also especially reading that in my studies for this Friday's exam as well. It speaks about just westernized ideas that try to fit into an African mold when it's impossible. Like, it's just not going to work. And I just remember in 2018, we were still young, and they were asking us what to do. They were asking us how to make their school prosper, how to make their town prosper. Yes. Sakeenah was the Minister of Education. I was the Minister of Religion. Ibrahim was like everything, the golden boy. But it was just, they looked up to us. And it was just strangest thing, because they're adults. They know their village. They know their country. We literally went for 11 days. But they looked towards us like, and I think that's really a put, because I genuinely didn't like that, because they really dimmed themselves down thinking that we were going to come and change everything. And again, we didn't know everything.
Almost like save them.
Yes. And that's the thing. There's a big savior complex.
Like people us, we're the victim. You have to have money. Please give us money. And I'm like, I don't have money. And
I'm still, like, you were still a student. I was working, but we didn't have millions, And also, another thing, just with the millions and stuff, is
we don't have millions. We still don't have millions.
We still don't have millions, so we seek it into existence. One day we will. But I only took one pair of shoes to Tanzania, and it was my Nike trainers that I wear for everything. That is like from gymming to just walking. And I took that because I knew that was going to be the easiest thing to travel with. And obviously they're very expensive. They're expensive, yeah. And that's why I only had one pair, And I remember going to Tanzania, and this one, the wise old man who we met, he was so obsessed with them. He loved them so much. And he was like, how much are they? How much are they? How much are they? And he asked so many times to the point where I was like, I can't take this anymore. Because I kept saying, like, it's very expensive and so forth. He's like, how much is it? And when we eventually did the exchange of how much it would be in shillings, it was like millions of shillings. And his eyes nearly popped out of his head.
But also, what he did with his shoes.
I felt so bad.
But also what he did with your shoes, my dude. Like,
I don't want to talk about it. So obviously every time you go, just a tidbit last story. Obviously every time you go into their homes and houses, you take your shoes off. And so when we went to go visit his house, because he was giving us lunch, we took my shoes off, and because he was so obsessed with my shoes, as we were leaving, he put his feet into my shoes. And he's like, don't these look great on me? And Sakeenah nearly died, but I'm not like a germaphobe. Like, things like that don't really bother me. But
no.
He was dying on the inside, like death on a stick. But yeah, so, and I did feel bad because I think I would have given it to him, but I didn't have any other shoes. And
but also that's the thing, like, that's the expectation that you were like, I would have given it to him. Like, you shouldn't have to feel like that, because at the end of the day, like, whether you're here or there or wherever, you still work for the things that you own. Like, nothing gets handed to you, so why should it? Because they have a very, like, people must hand them stuff, like, mentality. And because he believes that he's, like, so well respected, well known in the community, that people just basically do what he says. That's how it goes. And I think he expected that of us as well. But like, same.
And we didn't give that to him, so he wasn't very happy with us towards the end. He was like, ugh, But yeah, overall, we love to finish these podcasts on a high note. But overall, Tanzania and Mangula, the village, was amazing. We spent one night in Dar es Salaam, and we were literally like, wait, we spent 2 nights in Dar es Salaam, technically. and we love Dar es Salaam. Like we had one
We'll
meal.
talk about that in the next
Yeah.
pod.
Okay. Well, we'll leave you with that. There'll be some bits of Dar es Salaam in the next podcast. But overall, it was a win. It was amazing. We loved it. It was great. We would definitely go back. I wish it was easy.
And if Mama ever wants to come to Cape Town, bring it in.
For those of you who are listening, we were just doing a lot of hand motions of come here. but yeah, like it's another amazing trip, and I'm so happy we went on it. And I'm just so happy we went on it together, and going on it with your brother was also a really, really cool adventure, because I got to know him a lot more than I did before. Because mind you, before we went on this trip, I think Sakeenah's brother spoke to me maybe 5 times before this. And when I say spoke, I don't mean like full conversation. I mean like, hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye. Your brother never used to speak to me ever. And then we go on this trip, and I was the only one he could speak. Like we
was on the phone with you last night. Like,
oh, I know. Now he talks to me, but back then in 2018, it was non-existent. But anywho, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in on today's podcast. We really appreciate it. We've been loving this time spent just doing these podcasts and reminiscing on all these great memories. And there'll be another one live next week. So join us, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget to subscribe, like, check out the description box, watch some of we haven't mentioned it, but they are Tanzania videos on Sakeenah's channel, and one video from my channel that I will also link down below. Please check it out, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.